Welcome to the Revit workflow. The objective of this lesson is to explore how to get started in Revit. We'll touch on where Revit is on your screen and what to expect when Revit opens. In Revit, the vast majority of the processes you encounter are in a flat 2D platform. Instead of drafting, you're placing components into a model. Yes, these components have a so-called third dimension to them, but a logical methodology drives the process. If you need to see the model in 3D, it's simply a click away. That being said, remember this throughout the course. There's a big difference between 3D drafting and modeling. With that preamble behind us, let's get on with it. First of all, Revit has no command prompt and no crosshairs. Stop, don't go away just yet. You'll get used to it, I promise. Unlike most CAD applications, Revit is heavily pared down, so to speak. It's that way for a reason. Revit was designed for architects and engineers. You don't need every command that a mechanical engineer would need. An electrical engineer wouldn't need the functionality that an architect would require. In the new Revit 2013 interface, the functionality I just mentioned is available, but is tucked away so as not to interfere with your architectural pursuits. You'll find that, as you get comfortable with Revit, there are many choices and options behind each command. So let's get started. To open Revit, double-click on the icon on your desktop. Of course, you'll have more icons on your desktop than I have on mine. Once Revit's open, you'll see two categories. One are projects, and one are families. Projects are what we're going to be working in. Families are what gets loaded into the projects. Under projects, what you see are recently opened projects. This is a great shortcut if you don't want to weed through Windows Explorer. Also, there are families. These show the recent families that have been opened. To get started, let's start a new project. Under projects, click the New button. The New Project dialog will open up, and they ask you to choose a template. We're going to just choose the architectural template. Remember that your company may have a template stored. If they do, simply click the Browse button and go to that template. We want to create a new project and click OK. Perfect. A new project has been started. At the top of the Revit window, you'll see a series of little buttons, or what we call tabs. Each tab contains the icons that you will use. These icons are sorted into what's called a panel. So you'll hear me say, on the Architecture tab, click the Wall button on the Build panel. Let's actually go ahead and do that. Go ahead and click the Wall button. In Revit, once you start a command, the interface will change to give you tools to aid in that command. Another thing that Revit adds is called the Options toolbar. You'll be hearing me say this throughout the course. Keep your eyes on the Options bar. Hit Escape a couple times. Or you can click the Modify button to release yourself from the command. In Revit, you're always in a command in some degree. If you want to clear out from the command, press Escape or click the Modify button. No matter what tab you're on, the Modify button will always be there. So, again, for example, if you click the Architecture tab, click the Wall button, look at your commands, look at your options, now add something to the model. If you'd like, you can pick one base point and look how your cursor moves around. We won't actually draw this line yet, so just hit Escape. Notice it gets out of the command. Hit Escape again. Notice we're back to the architecture interface. Using Revit isn't always as easy as this, but just keep in mind the basic three-step processes and you'll be okay. Start a command, choose an option from the temporary tab or the options bar that appears, place the items in the view window. That's pretty much it. So you can see that on the surface, Revit appears to offer a fraction of the choices and functionality that are offered by AutoCAD, or any drafting program for that matter. This is true in a way. Revit does offer fewer choices to start a command, but the choices that Revit does offer are much more robust and powerful. Revit keeps its functionality focused on designing and constructing buildings. Revit gets its robust performance from the dynamic capabilities of the application during the placement of the items and the functionality of the objects after you've placed them in the model. I know that was kind of remedial, but we have a lot ahead of us, and now we have the foundation to build on. Let's go to the purple R. This is actually the Program button. Click on the purple R. Let's go Save As. Let's go to Project. What I'd like you to do is put this somewhere that makes sense to you. I'm going to call mine Chapter 1 and put it in a folder called Chapter 1. Since you'll be using the same file, you can name it whatever you'd like, class file, or whatever, and you can put it in whatever folder you like, just as long as it makes sense to you. I like to click on my Options button. The file save options for Revit are a little bit strange, to be honest. They like to give you 3 backups. What happens is, each time you physically hit the save button in Revit, it records it in a backup, up to 3 times. So literally the backups are a snapshot in time. I'm going to change mine to 1. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to hit save.